Hey, it's Soul with another video. Earlier, I tried making a video that highlighted and ranked each of the zones that you'll be visiting in the Battle for Azeroth Expansion. Unfortunately, it sucked really bad. It's never going to see the light of day, trust me. So instead, I'm going to try a new approach. I'm going to jump around Kul Tiras and Zandalar and simply show you a bunch of awesome things. And let me say this right now that all the zones, legit, they really are awesome. We are still in beta, and there's still a little bit more to come, but what we have is telling me that Blizzard is just getting better and better at making a world that you can really immerse and get yourself lost in. Alright, so let's start checking stuff out, and to be honest, this was a really hard video to do. There's so many really cool and awesome things to show you, and I'm glad that I feel overwhelmed. This is just a taste of what's to come when you finally jump in. When you first step off the boat and enter Zandalar Port, you're met with this grand spectacle. You're surrounded by giant stone structures, and up there you see Dazar'alor, the Great Seal. That's where your faction hub is. What I love about this are the angles. Looking at the higher elevations, you see level upon level of more NPCs, more activities, and above that you see the trees and mountains, knowing that you're going to be climbing up higher and higher above all of this. The port itself is full of life. This is where all the troll tribes gather. At every nook and cranny there's something going on. And depending on where you turn, you might find a giant surprise. I love this whole place. It's just full of fun and life and activity. One of my favorite views is from this bridge when you're approaching Dazar'alor. From here you get a view of the jungle behind you, the city in front of you, the water to the left and the right, and as for Dazar'alor itself, it just has this really cool snapshot that you can take right here. And of course, I know that this is kind of cliche, but you gotta be like right at the top where the king resides and look over his kingdom. It looks so awesome. I like this view much better than I liked the overly high altitude of Dalaran when it was looking over the Broken Isles. I mean, it was cool that you're able to see so many of the zones, but at the same time, it made them feel a little bit, I don't know, you could see the clear separation between those zones, and here you can't. But it still gives a really good sense of distance. You can kind of see Nazmir in the distance, but with the new Weather 2.0 system that's coming in the Battle for Azeroth, this haze or fog that you might be seeing will kind of obscure that and give it a cool natural look. Nazmir, by contrast, it's one creepy ass place. You are definitely not the capital anymore. This place was cool until the Cataclysm, that is, when this region started to sink into the ocean. That's why it turned into the swamp that it is today. And the place is in a state that we're a little bit more used to in the world of Warcraft, with troll ruins, undead trolls, and of course, extremely aggressive trolls. One place I'll visit is the Necropolis, a really pleasant place that tons of people are just dying to go into. It's one of the few semi-intact buildings around here. And even if you're very familiar with this image by now, since we've seen this as early as the playtest back in BlizzCon, it's still no less awesome and creepy. But not everything is dead and blood and grossness. Okay, well maybe it kind of is, depending on how you feel about this. But one cool area that takes advantage of this haze and the weather effects is the Frog Marsh. Go a little deeper and you enter Kragwa's Burrow, home of the Loa of Frogs, Kragwa the Huge, because, well, no duh. Even if frogs gross you out, this is one of the few safe places in this zone that hasn't been touched by, well, death or blood. And here we have a rainbow. What? This is something I just found all of a sudden when traveling over to Vol'dun. I was pretty surprised seeing a rainbow out of nowhere. The only other rainbow that I happen to have been told about is one over in the Battle for Gilnea's battleground. If that's true, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's a little ironic that this is the place that I happen to see another one. So in the middle of this swamp, this failing land, this land of undeath and blood and violence, a rainbow. One little shot of a rainbow to break the flow. Vol'dun is, well, guess what? Vol'dun's a desert. Or more like Desert 3.0, following the footsteps of Tanaris and Uldum. What sets Vol'dun apart from it isn't that, hey, there's like some rocky formations and hills and stuff. It's not just that. It's more that Vol'dun has more personality than the other two zones, with the different kinds of races and creatures that inhabit the place. Among the snake people, the troll people, the fox people, and the other people, this place actually has a lot of charm and personality, even if some of the visuals aren't all that impressive. Take this island full of treasure, for instance. What the hell is it doing here? Why is the treasure still there? Okay, that's why the treasure's still there. In the middle of the zone is Atul Aman, a giant troll structure that's still somewhat intact. What makes this impressive is that, at least by my estimates, this building has been around for over 10,000 years, well before even the Kaldorite Empire. Somehow it still stands, like it's defying time itself. Across the way though and to the north is Slithering Gulch, and most importantly this stretch right here. This is something you can see pretty far in the distance, but as you get closer it just gets more cool. This is like one of the two supervillain-like structures I'm going to point out in this video, and this is one of them. Come on, it's like
Snake Lightning.
Kinda cool, maybe, kinda, sorta. Your first visit to Kul Tiras will be in Tiragard Sound in the city of Boralus. When you first approach, you might think to yourself, wow, this city is gonna be pretty darn big. When you finally do have control and you can walk around, you'll find that you severely underestimated your own words. This place almost put Stormwind to shame. It's a really big city, and as a Horde player, I'm really jealous of just how detailed and how messy it looks, in a good way. Dazar'alor is clean and crisp. Boralus is, first and foremost, a human city. Humans are walking, they're working, they're selling stuff, sometimes they're fighting. But the human architecture is freaking amazing. It can also get a little confusing and roundabout if you want to get nitpicky. But I think it's awesome because that's a natural thing too. Just like Dazar'alor, it's all about spectacle, and while there aren't dinosaurs, there are huge ships, and big complicated buildings that are very different from the stone temple kind of things that we see in Zandalar. These are places you walk in, you climb up, you go into rooms. I'm sure that some people are going to get a little sick and tired of having to navigate through, and while you have these ferry points to help you get around, it can still get kind of confusing. But this is the charm of the big city. It's really cool, and you can get quite lost in it. Freehold is what Booty Bay wishes it was. Big burly guys, sort of repurposed buildings, rugged terrain, more boats, and I guess a certain charm and personality that quite couldn't be captured back in, 2004? And the place is huge. All you need are a couple bosses, and then you can call it it is a dungeon. But still, it's definitely one of the cooler dungeons you can see from out in the open world. Alright, let's do the opposite thing yet again and go to Norwington Estate. But before I go on, let me explain something really quick. Like I had said about Boralus, it's a very human city. This entire continent is a very human continent. Humans are everywhere around here. Settlements, estates. If you notice the zone maps, look how big Tiragard Sound is. If you go far enough to the west, you know what you're gonna find? Another freaking port town. It's obviously a much smaller one, but the point I'm trying to get across is that when it comes to Kul Tiras, it really is sea to shining sea. Anyway, let's take a look at Norwington Estate where all the rich folks are. And I cannot stop emphasizing just how much effort Blizzard puts into human architecture, the details, all the little doodads. It's really amazing. And from the estate you get some really awesome views, including that of Boralus itself. So for those who are really into the roleplay, Tiragard Sound is a great place to be. Human settlements are pretty commonplace in Kul Tiras, like I said. Fallhaven starts off as an exceptional oddity though. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but when you first walk into this town, you'll find that the citizens are less than, assertive. The citizens are seemingly frozen in place. What gets me about this particular location is that it's just, really creepy. Eventually you solve the mystery of what happened in this town, but until then, just take a look around and ask yourself, God, how long have they been like this? And then there's this little spot over in western Drustvar. Just a break in the sea, just water, just an aurora borealis, but it's nice, considering where we just came out of, this creepy forest, this snow-packed land, this danger and excitement. It's nice to take a break. And now off to Stormsong Valley, which I would say is one of the more pretty zones in this expansion. Right after you get through a mess of people and you start your actual approach into the valley, the zone opens up into this really incredible spectacle. Before you is all manner of life. You see this particular view from the Alliance standpoint. Farms, settlements, workshops, ships, and if you can see just far enough, you'll see a very curious structure in the distance. That's from the Alliance side. And I feel bad, it's almost kind of lazy for me to just get this really wide angle shot, because there are some really cool things when you look up close. But for me at least, this is the thing about Stormsong Valley. You can just capture this really wide angle, you can see the really animated skybox, the bright colors, even at night. As a Horde player, you're going to approach from the northern side of the valley. As you're moving deeper and deeper into Alliance territory, you'll find this one spot over here. Just like on the Alliance side, you get a terrific snapshot of everything in the zone. But you know what, let's take an even closer look. That over there is one of the Battle for Azeroth dungeons, the Shrine of the Storm. But I don't care, this thing looks freaking crazy from any angle. I got as close as I could before the game kind of pushes me out. But over here from this particular bridge, you get a really nice view of it too. It was actually from this bridge that I first saw it, and the look of it just sucked me right in. I immediately hopped onto a water strider that I had at the time and started making my way over there. And it's awesome, look at it, what sort of villainy happens in a structure like that, you gotta wonder. I guess my thing about this particular zone is that it's just so charming. It has that feel of the Valley of the Four Winds back in Mist of Pandaria. As an Alliance player, you're going around helping the people out. As a Horde player, not so much, but it still captured that kind of nostalgic feel, and that really helped me like the zone a whole lot more. So that's everything that I had to show you, and to be honest, I am not that impressed with what I showed you because there is so much more to see in this expansion. I know that you're going to want to power level as hard as you can. You want to get that gear, do the dungeons, and work your way to getting Battle for Azeroth Pathfinder as fast as you can. But until that moment, please, take your time, look around. There are many more awesome sites to look at that I didn't even really scratch the surface on. So thank you so much for watching. This actually took me a lot longer to put together than I really wanted it to. But I really hope you enjoyed yourself. And if you did, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more of this and all things Warcraft, and maybe consider becoming a patron to help support the channel even more. At any rate though, I hope to see you next time. Until then though, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.